This is an update to my tomato plants. This is 2018. I started these about a month ago. I started them from seeds, and I started them in little trays like this, and then I transplanted them to these styrofoam cups. One mistake I've made so far that I know is that I pull them out of here a little bit too quick, out of these six-pack cells. Probably would have been better if they form complete roots, which you would know they will come through the bottom of the cells. At the bottom of here you have holes, and if it's fully rooted, the roots will come through the bottom of the cells, and then it's best then for you to transplant it up to the styrofoam cups. But that being said, they're still holding their own. This one was transplanted way too quick, way too young. It should have still been kept in here. But what happened, usually when you plant these in the cells, you use more than one seed. And I hate like wasting them. You're supposed to cut one back, the one that's not thriving as much, and you keep the one that's thriving the most. But what I did, I said, hey, they're living, let's try and keep them living. So I actually used all of them that was in each cell. So even though you see only one plant is in this cell, it's because the other plant already took out and having one of these styrofoam cups. So these are waiting to plant. So the good thing is in these cup, if the root system stays strong in these cup, I'll transplant these in a bigger 5-gallon container, such as this, outdoors, but in containers, because I'm doing a lot more containers this year. I love containers, and the raised bed that I have, those are already spoken for, and tomatoes is not one of the crops that I'll be growing in those raised beds. And I do well with the 5 gallons. I do pretty well with them, so they should be happy. I grew tomatoes 2 years ago when I just started being a gardener. I grew tomatoes, and I grew them both in pots and containers and also in the ground, and they both was very successful. Of course, in the ground you get more crop and you get greater yield, but in the pots was okay too. So I have some soil over here, which is kind of like reused soil. These are potting soil, and these was to grow a lot of other things I was growing, waiting for winter to transplant. And what I've done is just take the soil, because it hasn't been fully used, and I have about 5 gallons of that soil. These are potting soil, and I went ahead and put some neem oil, the neem oil solution, and pour in that soil, so that soil be, mainly disease free for when I use it for transplanting other plants. So I'll just continue to update. This is mint, spearmint, and this was bought in the store, and it got like very high and but very leggy. So I've cut it down, and I've transplanted, grew the roots by putting them in water, and grew roots, and I transplanted another one back here and another one right here, and this one right here is a transplant that already has roots and is now in a styrofoam. And I have about 5 more cuttings that's in water that I'm waiting for it to grow root, and as soon as they grow roots, I'm going to be keeping them in styrofoam cups and growing them that way. So it's a nice experiment. I love starting from seeds because it's a little bit more work, but it's a little bit more rewarding, because you start from a seed and the whole process is really interesting, and you're gonna have usually probably a stronger plant, because hopefully they're not abused, and so by the time they get in the ground, they should be doing well. I did make a couple mistakes with these. I used, I have a gallon of seawater that I just got from the beach about a year ago. And I use a little bit too much in the water to water these. They have about 98 trace elements in them, but it's not purified, so it has a lot of contaminants in them too. So I had to take these plants and give them a full bath, just drain them, just water until it drain out to try to get the salt out of them. And now that that is done, I'm hoping the root system is still good with them. And if the root system is still good with them, we're gonna work together. So I have organic rooting component, liquid fertilizer that I'm waiting to be delivered. And I'm going to start using those at quarter strength, not full strength. Whatever the direction is, we use them on quarter strength when we're working with starter plants, seedlings. You do quarter strength in the watering like once a week. So I'm going to do that to help build a very strong root system for when I transplant them to the 5-gallon pot and bring them outside.